and good morning to everybody who is participating today all over the, I think, country. Saturday, almost afternoon now, and I hope that you are all awake, seeing our probably a little unclean or unshaven faces for sure. Uh, Two things. I think majority of my co-panelists has already talked about the things which probably there is no point of repeating it again. It's well laid out. So I will not repeat for sake of repetition. I will not do that. What I will talk about today for next 3.5 minutes is uh, probably after 3 months of lockdown, what we are seeing than what we have seen in the March 25th when we came back from office and say, oh, good Lord, we may not be able to go to office for next couple of days, maybe couple of weeks. I still remember on that particular day, my chairman called me up and said that Manis, it seems to be at least 2 to 3 months we will be out of action from the office setup. Coincidentally, it happened to be the same. So when it started in sometime of March, trust me, uh, we sat down in our own offices, and what we thought is that it's not a financial crisis. It's absolutely a human crisis. Point number two, we realized that it will be multi-quarter, maybe more than a financial year. Number three, we realized that the way we operate today will go for sure a change maybe in coming months. And number four, which is very important, is that what we always thought a safe haven may not be a safe haven tomorrow. Whatever it is, I'm from pharma and healthcare. My industry can be a little different, maybe a little more fortunate today than many other industries, but that's inconsequential. As a world race, as a human race, it is something which is completely changing. So in that particular scenario, when we felt that we don't know whether we have at a start of a pandemic or we are at the end of the tunnel, which we were not knowing, not only us from Wockhardt or from pharma industry per se, even globally the experts didn't know that where we are in the tunnel of darkness. Are we at the beginning of the tunnel, middle of the tunnel, or end of the tunnel? We didn't know. So what to do? I will now talk about for a couple of minutes only for what we did, and then come back to the situation today that what we did, whether that was effective or not. So under the sun, you take a call, could be looking incorrect or correct, but when the sun sets in, always the shadows are longer. So it can be very different. So what we did is that we made sure that as an organization, we divided this entire scenario in 3 buckets. We call it as respond. First, I repeat, respond. This is 3 R's: resolve and restore. So for the initial few weeks, it was only responding. And actually, very frankly speaking, in Wockhardt, it was driven by finance. And I'm very happy that my entire team actually helped us in getting there. So when we say as respond, means we didn't know what is happening. When you see a patient in the emergency, the doctor doesn't know what is really there. He only guesses based on certain symptomatic actions. So, and then gets into the resolution process where all other checks comes in, or the verification or other checks and balances comes in. So what we did is that we said, okay, respond to the situation based on the facts and figures which we have. And when we say respond, we talked about the responsiveness, not the response. We talked about an agility and responsiveness in the situation. When we talk about an responsiveness in the situation, we defined it in 2 parameters. One, everybody talked about, cash is king. Make sure liquidity is available. Point number 2, we talked about is that make sure all the processes, regulatory, compliance, alternatives, whatever processes, the digital are working well. Those are the backbone. Now, these are the 2 things which we tried to do. Productivity is probably was the last thing at that particular moment. because you didn't know whether supply chain will be working for next couple of months, whether you didn't know whether people will come back to the factory to work. We didn't know, but that will be probably a byproduct. We try to do that. And while we are responding and making a responsiveness, we also created a situation which we called as resolve. So resolve means what we do in this particular scenario. Somebody talked about, I think Anand talked about raising money. I think Harshal talked about, making sure that the people are working together. We did the same thing. We became compassionate. All my team, I never went back and told them, come back by EOD. I hate that word, that when you send somebody saying that complete it, come back by EOD, that this is your work. We never said that. The reason we never said that is that right now, rather than the command control and objectivity of the function is more important, rather than the command control. Compassionate becoming probably the buzzword. And last, which we are seeing right now, is the restoration. So 3 months down the line, when I look back, I see a responsiveness, I see a resolution process, which we have taken in 3 months for almost 12 weeks now, is actually working well. So what is actually working well is that, I think Harshal talked about more is less. Actually, this is our buzzword in Wockhardt, more is always a less. So we decided that we will not get into something which is obnoxiously avoided. So fixed cost versus variable, look into that. Look into every cost from its objectivity, not by just because of what we need. Our needs were defined pre-COVID area. Today, the post-COVID area, our needs to be redefined. So we looked into, we cut down, okay, I will not say it's cost as a cut down. We optimized cost hugely. If you see some of our results and the presentations, our cost optimization work model really went well. We looked into which are those products which we cannot anymore invest into on the R&D or product launches. We demarcated, somebody said about gross contribution or gross margin. We demarcated products or businesses between gross margin and high gross margin and low gross margin. We remained focused on that. So 3 months down the line, when I look back of all the uncertainty, what we started in today, trust me, I'm extremely hopeful that tomorrow when we come back to the office, we will be much more leaner, much more agile, and probably much more effective. A beautiful word quoted from HBR. The Harvard Business Review said that social distancing is a bad word. You must ensure that you get into a distancing which is not to be considered as an isolation. The social isolation is different. So as a finance professional, we must identify that where from we need to be distancing, and that should not come into a process of isolation. We will talk about a little later. I generally do not like to speak again and again and for a monologue. So I will hand it over to Kabir again for my next co-panelist, and take care from there for the questions and other answers later on. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience here.